Welcome to our WithoutWire Inventory Sciences Executive Briefing, presented by Scanco. And we're going to talk about an enterprise WMS, warehouse management system platform for NetSuite and Microsoft. My name is Steve Dwyer. I'm the Senior Vice President of Enterprise Sales here at WithoutWire and Scanco. You can see from a corporate overview perspective, we are on our 24th year as a company with depth in distribution, manufacturing, and field service. As an inventory platform, we are fully extensible to the Microsoft Power Automate and Power Platform. And we've had reseller relationships in the NetSuite Microsoft Dynamics channels for all 23 of these years. We have a proven solution with over 7,500 active sites around the world and a real-time integration to any ERP with our open APIs and also the capability of working completely standalone. Just to bring that home a little further, with our JSON REST APIs, Power Automate as one option for middleware, though Jitterbit, MuleSoft, Delboomi, there's other middlewares out there, including E1 and or the CSV import export, okay, another way to get data in and out of our system. We have the compatibility with NetSuite, the whole Microsoft Dynamics suite, whether it's Business Central, GP, Great Plains, SL, Navision, F&O, AX, all of those are compatible with our system. We have Oracle integration, SAP integration, and can, again, integrate to any ERP system. So really a scalable long-term solution for your company. There was a recent Dynamics GP announcement, you may have heard, and extending the life out to 2031 with 30,000 customers out there. Still a great solution of WithoutWire warehouse management to help them with their inventory platform, and then be able to seamlessly migrate over to a Dynamics Business Central or a NetSuite option. From a product overview standpoint, the integration connects our warehouse management system in an inventory platform, and we have that ability to expand with the Power Platform to add on e-commerce, EDI, shipping, procurement, and other solutions to extend and grow as your company continues to grow. From a system architecture standpoint, we host our system by default in the Microsoft Azure cloud. You can see a web console, web browser based, and a mobile native app as the two key interfaces, connecting to your ERP with the API and the middleware do that real-time integration. We have SQL databases, the connectivity through a print agent to your network of printers for item labels, bin labels, bill of lading or packing slips kind of printing. The Power BI is embedded in the dashboard, as you'll see when we get into the demonstration. As a comparison chart to others out in the industry you may have heard of, WithoutWire compares very favorably from an ease of use, from 3PL, third-party logistics, and customer portal capabilities, our suitability for the medium to enterprise-sized businesses, the platform, advanced manufacturing, advanced field service capabilities for work orders, jobs, and service tickets, procurement planning, reporting analytics, and then favorable pricing as well. If you look at the functionality, you can see the depth in inbound and outbound and everything in between. I've highlighted in orange some of those key areas that are really going to stand out with our solution, and you'll see those today. If you look at, for example, license plates, perhaps you're familiar, but if it's new to you, it's basically, you can think of it as a pallet tag, but it's also very useful in collecting items on that pallet or container. It's nestable within a bin, but it's really a movable bin as a license plate. And it is very effective in efficient labeling and scanning throughout your warehouse. We have the auto-generated replenishment, mins and max with reorder points for the procurement and fulfillment planning. Full physical inventory count, FIFO, FIFO stock rotation, permission controlled inventory adjustments, ABC blind cycle counts, depth, or you can start with light kitting, light assembly, or go very deep in the manufacturing. And we'll get into that shortly, where we'll talk about all the way to scrap, yield, and labor for job costing calculations. We'll talk about field service, and from an outbound perspective, we have the route management, prioritizing orders, assigning them, splitting them by zones or units of measure, single order picks or wave picks, and then printing out final documents during the pack out. Could be a 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3 kind of delivery, capturing images on the outbound or signatures, and then shipping either through LTL carriers or APIs to UPS and FedEx. If you talk about manufacturing, you can imagine your raw materials and their storage. A manufacturing order can kick off a pick of these raw materials needed in the manufacturing and delivered to the manufacturing staging. You have production line 1 and production line 2, perhaps work cells within. And throughout the day, you can continuously be replenishing. We'll automate tasks to kind of like a runner to go pick and replenish those manufacturing supplies just in time, so you keep those production lines running. Ultimately, you have semi-finished and finished goods, work in process perhaps, but as you produce those finished goods, you might put them on manufacturing hold pending a QA inspection. At the same time, we're going to record scrap at the end of run, return unused raw material back to its storage, and then ultimately, upon inspection, clear the goods from their hold status and use our directed put away to their proper pick location so that we can FIFO, FIFO in the most strategic and efficient pick path to pick, pack, and ship those goods out the door so you can get those invoices out to your customers. From a field service perspective, we have depth in many verticals: lighting, fire security, telecom, HVAC, oil, gas, and solar, and so forth. We'll show you some of that today. We help key verticals such as biopharma, biomed, pharmaceutical, with 21 CFR Part 11 electronic records and signature capture. We help them comply with the Drug Supply Chain Securities Act and other compliances, including HIPAA. This is an example of a signature capture with a disclaimer that was very specifically written that they're providing these drugs as samples for legitimate medical needs of my patient. From a food and beverage perspective, we help our customers comply with the Food Safety Modernization Act, being able to trace your goods one step back in your supply chain and one step forward with digital 3-minute, 3-step digital recall capabilities. And so just very valuable tools and capabilities to change what used to be through paper processes, recalls taking 4 or 5 people 5 or 10 days, moving that again into 3 steps digitally in 3 minutes. Multilingual capability to suit the language needs of your staff, both on the web console and on the mobile device. And so tying this all together, we've got our inventory platform we're going to get into a demonstration on, but please know that it fully extends to the Microsoft Power Platform. I mentioned Microsoft Azure Cloud Hosting, Power BI embedded in the dashboard, and the Power Automate to do the connectivity of expanding your whole supply chain platform. If we talk about our WithoutWire services, we have a team of professionals, project management, solution consultants, BA, senior architects, and lead developers to take you through our 5-stage process for implementation. And that process we found through our 24 years to be very reliable in that it's milestone based with 5 stages. And we go left to right, we don't skip these stages. We start with setup in a sandbox environment, get some test data flowing through some test integrations. We then come on site, do a deep dive into your process, our product, and do a gap analysis, write a process document defining every piece of the workflow, presenting that for signature, which then sends us head down to design and configure the system. We unit test, regression test, train your team, prescribe test cases for your team for user acceptance testing. That testing might take about 4 to 5, maybe 6 weeks. We move from feature freeze to code freeze. We verify that everything's working. Our team is there to help resolve issues. And then we do an end-to-end test for final validation with a mock go live. That gets us prepared so that the actual go live is essentially a non-event as we move from the sandbox to live production environment. From a support standpoint, WithoutWire has 24/7 support. We get very high marks from our US-based team. We have a support portal to issue and log your concerns and issues. We have 4 levels of service level agreements, whether it's a 1-hour response, a 1-day response, 2-day, or 10-day as appropriate. We have white glove support as another option for you, where we have base, professional, and enterprise levels to give you all the support that you need. Our standard hours are here, and of course we do have 24/7 support, including an intercom chat feature available both on the mobile and the web console. From a device standpoint, virtually any iOS or Android device is compatible with our system and has the same great user interface. Whether it's a pistol grip, long-range scanning, forklift mounted, Zebra or Honeywell, or some of the other leading device brands, we have the compatibility, but it can be semi-rugged or completely consumer. A Kindle Fire, an iPad, an iPhone. This is an iPhone with a semi-rugged enclosure and a pistol grip. What I'll be using today is this Socket Mobile Bluetooth paired to my iPhone. And we do have our supported devices that we certify listed out on our knowledge base. So with that, I'm going to transition over to a product demonstration. Getting started here in the web console, you can see I'm logged in as John Doe, and I have access to multiple warehouses, and including truck 1, truck 2, and truck 3 as appropriate. I'll make the Power BI a little larger so you can see it. This is called our Inventory 360, and whether it's an item number you want to look for or an item description, you can see here the item number, description, site location. Is it tied to a project or unallocated? Is it on hold or active? What's its lot, its bin location, its quantity, and its unit of measure? So if I wanted to, because I have not memorized every part in our warehouse, I can search by description. I get the match. It's a serialized part, and here are those serial numbers in this bin, quantity 1 each in the warehouse. You can see I also have search capability over active or on hold, lot, bin, zone types of searches, or site-specific searches. There's also tabs along the bottom here as it reloads around inventory availability, inventory attributes, cycle counts, and order details. And we have additional Power BI dashboards as well. You can create your own Power BI, load them into our system, and have them viewable here. So a lot of flexibility in key performance indicators. The ribbons along the left are the inbound, the outbound, inventory operations, business intelligence, where we have additionally SSRS reports, about 60 strong. Our system maintenance for adding users, assigning them permission, within the web console, the mobile device, and our report access that you want to grant them. We have the ability to quickly add sites, add zones, have hold rule maintenance. If you look at configuration settings, we have over 100 that you and I can change the behavior of our system on the fly, whether it's picking or inventory operations, or in this case, receiving. I currently have an external signature required at the end of a PO receipt. I could disable that, refresh the cache, and I would no longer be prompted for that signature. But I'll leave it there for the demonstration. And then finally, at the final on the bottom here, are data setup tools where we talk about the standalone. Here's where you have the import, export capabilities with a bin template, an item template, inventory, POs and PICs, bill of materials, customers, vendors, and advanced ship notice. So you have the templates, you populate the data, you save it, you browse to it, and import it into our system. Similarly, you can export over a date range, PIC records, PO receipts, inventory transactions, and levels. So fully standalone capable, as well as perhaps you're moving from one ERP to another ERP. We can help you get there. If we look at the receiving console as an example, and I hit filter, I can sort over a date range by PO, item, or vendor. I have different statuses that POs are going to work throughout our system. Of course, these POs are placed in the ERP, whether it's NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics, through integration. Those are flowing to our system, and they start waiting for receipt, and then it's receiving in process, and finally they're at a receiving complete standpoint. Also, I could select my vendor here as another sort criteria. So before going any further, what I'll do now is transition to introduce the mobile device. You can see here, you can add bins and items from the mobile. We have receiving, put away, directed put away, picking, and picks can be a variety of things. It can be replenishments, it can be picks for manufacturing orders, picks for field service jobs, picks for sales orders, of course, and picks for credit returns as well. We have bin transfer or moves, inventory adjustments, which are permission controlled. So certain folks won't even have access to this icon. We just disable it. Cycle counts, manufacturing, if that suits your business. There are more advanced icons over here as well for replenishment, manufacturing, license plate operations, and taking things on and off hold and allocating or unallocating certain inventory as well. Okay, and now a couple other features here. We start with the main screen scan. If I'm walking through the warehouse, I can scan any item, bin, or license plate and find out everything I'd ever want to know about the item. I scanned item 2425 and it shows me all its locations, its lot, its allocation, if allocated, quantity, unit of measure. The red dot here is indicating it's on quality hold. If I tap on this first line, you can see beyond the lot, quantity, unit of measure, bin location, I have additional attributes, an expiration date, an image inside the package and outside the package, with the ability to delete the image and retake photos here as well. I can back out of that, swipe right to left, tap on options, and I have 6 additional things that I can do, such as creating an account or doing an adjustment if I have permission, printing a label, doing a move, associating an alias or acquiring a barcode from the vendor to associate to my internal part number, or looking at the history of this item in this bin. Now we also have access to camera scanning right here, where I can actually, here's the scanner that I'm using. I could scan or I could use the keyboard here as well. I'll cancel out of that. The left hamburger menu here has the ability to do a search as well as that main screen scan. So if I type in MAS, you can see it finds the matches But what I was looking for is mask 2425. I tap here and I'm right back to that same spot where I can tap in, see the images, back out, and so forth. So another easy way to access a lot of information about your inventory. You can see I have the ability to chat with support, sign in, sign out, pair my scanner, and toggle between warehouses if I have access. Okay, so doing the day in the life, let's jump into a receipt. I pop into my receiving icon. The truck has just arrived, ready to deliver goods to my receiving location. And so I'm going to do a quick search because I have a rather long list of POs here. I find the match 2044, tap into it. And what I'm seeing here is the two items that were ordered on this PO for this vendor. And this information all came from my ERP, whether it's NetSuite, Dynamics, or another ERP, and flows through integration to the WithoutWire warehouse management platform. So at this point, I can tap through as I'm pulling goods off the truck, or I can scan items. I could also acquire the barcode of the vendor to associate it to my internal part number. I'll give it a scan. Because it's lot tracked, it does require me to capture a lot. And then I can confirm the quantity by hitting OK in the lower right. And you see it grays it out. If I come to the next item, I can tap or give it a scan. And here I may not take the whole 500, maybe it's just 50. I hit OK. I get a light gray. And now I have more goods coming off the truck, or they could be coming tomorrow in the next delivery. But before I receive the 450, I'll tap on options lower left. And you can see the ability to print the label, damage, undo the receipt, receive in pallets, cases, or each. Do a bin transfer if it's immediately needed somewhere in your operation. Chat with our support team and so forth. What we'll do here, let's go ahead and damage to. I hit OK, and you can see now 498 good, 2 damaged against the 500 ordered. I'll hit OK, and I'm ready to complete this PO, so I hit yes. And then I just hand my mobile over to the driver, and they sign off on those 2 damaged. So that PO now disappears from my list of receiving tasks, but in real time, we can see in the web console here, when I do a refresh on this, 2044 is now in a receiving complete. If I pop into the details, I can see what was ordered, what arrived, what was damaged, who did the work, a time date stamp when they began and ended each line of the receipt, and the driver's signature. So all of this becomes a receipt record that we push back through integration to the ERP, so you can close the PO and pay the vendor. If we continue along and move right over to a sales order, as you might expect, we have these same search criteria. You can search by route, by status, from unassigned, waiting to be picked, picking in progress, completed, sent back to the ERP. I also have different types of orders. I could hit filter to see all, and as you'd expect, the orders are listed here and they're in their various stages. Okay, popping over to the mobile. So let's go ahead and pick a sales order. I start by popping into my picking, and again, I'll do a search. Type in a couple digits, pairs it down. 4515 is what I'm looking for. I tap into it, and here is a comment that came from customer service, entered into the ERP, flows down to our mobile device. I dismiss it. I can always refer back to it. Now, it's 2 lines on the sales order, and it's going to take me in the most efficient pick path based on FIFO and FIFO business logic that I put in place. So it's taking me to the 03 bin, then the 04, and the 05, and 6, and 8, and so forth in the serpentine path. But we just have 2 items here, a simple pick. So at this point, what I can do is scan the item or scan the bin. And because I scan the bin, there are multiple lots in that bin. It's asked me which lot I'm picking. I select the lot. This is just an option. It autofills the 10. It could require me to type in 10. Those are just settings. I'll hit OK. And as you'd expect, it grays out the line and it sends me to the next bin, the 04 bin. I'll go ahead and give it a scan. It recognizes there's a need for 20. There are 20 available. You confirm by hitting OK, and it grays that line. I'll hit OK again in the lower right. Before I do that, though, let me just tap on one of these lines and show you the options. Print the label, get next location, undo the pick in different units of measure, short the order if there is a back order situation, or short and cancel, and the chat, of course, as we saw before. So I'm good there. I'll hit OK. Would you like to ship immediately? And what I'll do in this case, let's stage the order. We've got to print some documents. Maybe we're waiting for other things to be combined with it. So I'll say no, and it's going to go to a stage bin 1. I could change that to stage bin 2, 3, or 4. You can see it's leaving John. I'm logged in as John Doe, my John work in process, and we're going to drop it off stage bin 1. So I hit OK, and by the way, it's on a license plate in the background, 1714 here. I'll just make a note of that. So we hit OK, and I could print any final documents. If I was hooked up to a printer, I'll just skip that step, and that order disappears from my queue, and it's sitting in staging. If now we come back to the web console and we do a refresh again, and we were looking at 4515 right here, you can see it's in a waiting for shipment status now, as opposed to it was previously waiting to be picked. We can look at the details, and again, as you'd expect, John Doe did the work, time, date, stamp of every transaction within our system. Could unpick, delete, re-import, and so forth, but it's waiting for shipment. So now we've printed out all of our C of A, our packing slip, everything we need to go out the door, and we're ready to put that on the truck and get it out the door. So I come here to order shipment. I just start typing in the order number, find the match, hit go. I get my confirmation here that the status, where it's going, the address, the quantity, and who did the work. It's sitting on a license plate, all those details, including lot information. And maybe I want to add a tracking number here. Add my tracking number, I confirm the shipment, I get my success message, and those goods are now out the door. Through integration, we're pushing this pick record back as fulfillment to the ERP so that you can send the invoice to your customer. Okay. Now, let's talk about put away and replenishment. I received those goods to receive bin 1. So now it's time for me to do put away. So I'm going to come here to my put away icon, and I have a long list of things that need put away. So I can just scan the item that I received, 5794, and it's directing me where this good exists. And I can then select the bin I want to drop it in. I hit OK. And those goods are gone from receiving bin 1, and they're now in their picking location. Similarly, I can grab that next item, and I'll pick the 05 bin right here for put away. And you can see the 498, remember there was 2 damaged, those are sitting in a damage bin. We're gonna move from receive bin 1 to the 05 bin, and all I do is hit OK. And as I drop those goods off, and that also disappears from my task. Now, I also have min-max replenishment. And so as an example here, if I take a look at my item tools and I look at an item BP 1000, you can see I have a primary bin and an overstock. The primary has a minimum of 20 and a max of 100. There's currently 18, so as you'd expect, there should be a task to move 82 from overstock to my primary pick location. When I come into the mobile and I look at picking and I look at my move orders, because those are my replenishment orders, it says, as you'd expect, we need 82 from overstock of the BP 1000, and it's going to work through and direct you to drop those off at the primary P12 bin. So that's an example of the automated min-max. Another example is to look at what we call fulfillment planning, where we look at min-max and reorder quantity for every item that we're interested in procuring. And so if you come down here, you look at this item, it has a total quantity, it has a demand of 8, and so we need 3, as you would expect. And now you have the ability to procure, to transfer, because I know there's another site that has quantity, so I can request a transfer, create a PO to procure more, or create a build so that we actually, if this is a kitted item or a manufactured item, we can kick off a build right from this screen. If I'm going to procure, I might procure 1 or I might procure 3 of these, and I would just type in my vendor, select from the drop-down, and all I have to do at this point is create the request, and that will kick off a purchase order for 3 from this vendor of this item. Similarly, I have another vendor here, 14 to be bought of this item. So that's all I have to do to create a PO, and we can send that PO all the way back to the ERP. There could be multiple levels of approval before releasing and cutting that PO. So really a powerful system here from a fulfillment planning standpoint. Some really great purchasing tools, if you will. All right, so let's talk a little bit about manufacturing. And while we're here, first off, I'll look at a bill of materials. I type in my finished good item number. Now that's 3 raw materials you can see with their description and their quantities. To make 1 finished good, you need this kilogram each and pounds of these 3 materials. You can add a component, delete a component, edit the quantity. And ultimately, this can be through integration. We can read bill of materials from your ERP. So there's multiple approaches here. But that's a look at the raw material, bill of material. If I then come into, we'll show you simple kitting today, we'll go deeper in the future, but a simple kit here. If I look at this same item, because it's lot tracked, it requires a lot number and a quantity. When I hit go, it presents me with the bill of material. Here are those 3 raw materials, quantity needed versus quantity available. I'm good, so I get a green box, and I could create the kit. But so far, I've not created any finished good. At the time I do create the kit, it's going to decrement these quantities used. But here's a fun example here. I've got lot 501 of this. Let's imagine that I run out of that lot. And now I get a red box. I would come in here, add another line, choose another lot, and now complete the manufacturing process. I hit create kits, and you'll notice it creates a license plate here and a success message. I've created it successfully. So if we come back to that LP and I bring up my mobile, this is kind of a fun example here. Again, we're just on the light side of manufacturing today. I come into license plate operations. I scan this license plate, and I could place it on hold, or it could have been auto held at creation. But remember, as I created this, I decremented those raw materials. And here is that hold status, manufacturing hold, quantity 2 of this finished good was produced in this bin on this license plate with this lot number. So you've got all those micro details. I come back, I inspect it, I remove it from hold, and when I come back to the details, it no longer has that orange indicator for hold. So just a quick example, and then of course we can go much deeper on the job-based discrete process manufacturing. Roughly half of our clients do manufacturing, so we've become built out a very strong system there to handle just about anything that comes our way. Okay, what I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about our field service capabilities. We talked about, come back here, we talked about the variety of order types. One of those being a manufacturing order, picking raw to production. Another one is jobs, and creating jobs, scheduling those, dispatching those through a job tool, through integration flowing to our system so that we can do all the movements of inventory to those jobs to get them to the right technician so they make one trip out to complete their work. So at this point, let me come out, switch warehouses. I'm going to head out to truck 1. We're going to imagine I'm technician 1. As I come out here, I have a different set of icons. I have the ability to view my jobs. I tap in, I can see what's been assigned to me. I can tap into any one of these jobs and find out what parts specifically are needed. If I come down here to this one, you can see in this case, this job needs 3 each, 6, 6, and 2. I have inventory available in my inventory bin in my truck for these 2 parts, but I do not have inventory yet for these parts. Knowing that, what I can do is come and request inventory. We could also drive that inventory directly out to the technician, but these are just multiple options that you can attack. When those goods arrive, and they're picked at the warehouse, and either I go to the warehouse to pick them up as a technician, or they show up in my driveway, I load them into my truck, I use the receive inventory. So I get a digital handshake of when I'm taking possession of those goods. I could stop at Home Depot, Menards, and Lowe's and pick up additional parts on the fly. I could meet a fellow technician at a coffee shop and we can exchange parts off of our truck that are needed immediately. And I can consume freeform from my truck as well. I can tie it to jobs as I do that. And ultimately, at the end of the job, I can return parts that were not needed. So when it comes to end of month cycle count time, I can actually do the cycle count and my truck inventory ties out. So we can go much deeper with you, but that's just a little brief introduction there for you. Okay, at this point, I want to show, just touch on cycle counts briefly. Actually, I'm going to come out and come back to the main warehouse here. And if I'm assigned counts, all I have to do is tap into my icon and my counts would show up here. And again, these are blind counts. I can tap into them or scan my way. You can see the zero, it's zero, it's blind. It's not telling me what to expect as I count this item. I can come in here, count my full cases. I can come back in, count my loose eaches. Oops, I'll just, yeah, we'll put 2. You can see it's incrementing the count with 2. I hit OK. I now arrow back, or I can hit the back button here. And I have one other bin with this item. So as this item count needs me to count all locations, I will do that here. I hit OK and back. And finally now I can hit done because I've addressed every location. Would you like to complete the count? I'll say yes. And as a user, I'm all done with the counts. There's a different count there waiting for me, but as a operator, a supervisor or manager, I can come into the count console, select my counter, select anything that needs review, hit filter, and right on top here, it was assigned, completed today, and I look at the details, I can see John Doe did the work, the item, location, the quantity counted versus what we believed was in the system. And you can see a huge discrepancy in quantity and percent. I can hit update and complete. That would adjust the quantities in WithoutWire, and then we're going to push this as an adjustment back to the ERP to this new quantity count. Because it's so large, I might take a different approach and assign a senior counter, or give John some more practice because he's new. I hit the recount, and now that's back for John to do his counting. Giving you a quick look at reports. I mentioned beyond Power BI, we have a great deal of SSRS reports, inventory by bin, inventory by item, inventory history. And you can see here, I can sort globally or locally. I can search by item and license plate and order. I can use a wildcard to see all. I choose to maybe just focus on bin transfer as a transaction type. I go to view the report, and what you notice here is it's a 71-page report. I can drop it into an Excel or CSV to crunch the data further. But if you look at the actual data, you can see each transaction, each bin transfer gets a transaction number, 4010. You might recall John Doe today moved from the receiving bin 498 to the 05 bin. And so there is all the micro details, and we keep a history log of all of these records. So you have that full system-wide audit trail capabilities. So that's just a quick example of one of our reports. All right, with that, what I'm going to do is transition back to wrap up here with PowerPoint. If I come back here, we go full screen. And next slide. Just wanted to remind you that one of the second slides of the presentation was our open APIs using REST and JSON. The Power Automate as an extensible part of our solution. The import-export standalone capabilities. And we're focused on Microsoft Dynamics and NetSuite. Just know that our system integrates to any ERP. Where can you learn more? Hopefully we piqued your interest. WithoutWire.com, Scanco.com. Please check out our websites. We do have our recorded webinars posted out there, so you can see more. And please come visit us at our annual trade show events. Microsoft User Group Summit in October, and April is Microsoft Directions. NetSuite Suite World User Conference happens each September. Please email or call with additional questions. You can see my contact and phone number here. I look forward to learning more about how we can help meet your challenges for your inventory solution. Thanks and have a great day.